Ah, yes, another DraftScience video production. I have to make some video productions, I think. Documentary or such kind of thing. Yeah, I have to work on that. So, a couple of subjects. We'll get to this holiday racer bullshit. No, just what's the point? But anyway, um, first, so yeah, I'm trying to do the publishing thing. And I did notice a couple of publications where you can't even tell what the circulation of the publication is, but they charge like $2,000, and I was thinking that's really not worth it. For such for something that may only be read by a few thousand people at best. Um, and I'm still arguing to myself that I should be able to solicit some YouTube physicist to critique my theory. Uh, for a couple $1,000. Physics girl or Doctor Physics or whatever, all these people out there. So one of them should want the money, for a day's work, theoretically. Maybe even less if they're really confident that they've got the truth, and they got a way to explain it. I'll concede. Sometimes theories are so preposterous that you're like, well, I can't disprove it because it's just crazy, like the rope theory. I mean, it hurts your brain to try to say, well, I know that can't work. I just don't know why I know that can't work. Everything connected to everything. I know there's some circumstance where you're going to get all tangled up, and there's no way you're going to get that tangle out, that knot. So it don't work. It's fucking silly. Um, it doesn't explain anything. I mean, these explanations that don't explain, you see, that's the big difference, I suppose. I mean, I'm providing an explanation, just can't get more basic. I'm giving you a simpler. I'm demonstrating that as we would logically deduce, the universe gets simpler as you get to its basic function. So I'm giving you a simpler explanation, not something that requires the construction of ropes, billions of light years long. Yeah. Anyway, so I suppose that's always an out for people. They can just say, well, your theory's just too stupid and I can't figure out how to say it can't work. Damn. Anyway, so this is all very frustrating. I really don't want to write a whole book, but it's looking like that's what's going to happen because, you start getting into the details and it does get a little bit, well, look, you have to understand that it's really not the thing itself doesn't really go anywhere. It just exchanges the direction, blah, 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 and I mean, people, they either want it too complicated or they want it too simple. They don't want it just right. No, don't give me that. So anyway, so we've almost gotten there with the theory of everything page. It's So what I would like, if people can muster the ability, is for people to actually read the document. Link below. So I just got magnetism to finish here. Magnet drawing. Yeah, I like that. But so you have to sort of understand gravity comes in from all sides and stuff comes out from all sides, but it's changed as it goes through the magnet. Woo! Anyway, um, so yeah, it's I would like to fix this before I attempt to get it published, in the sense that there's something that's just too stumbly bumbly. Just can't get through there. You can't figure out what I'm saying. So if you could just quote, now that we have nice quotable text, you just quote something and say, put that in the comments section. Say, why I don't get it. What do you mean by that, or something like that. Where do you get lost? Where does this lose you? Where do you say, oh, I don't understand what he's talking about? Something like that. And citations to useless, whatever crap, like they debunked that 400 years ago. Well, that's really not good enough. You're going to have to provide me the actual debunking. Yeah, because I already dealt with some of that. really is. This is just so, I mean, so close. I mean, there was even the Feynman quote that the magnet guy used that I had forgotten about. The virtual photon. Um, and it's just so funny that he used that to explain magnetism, and just the very idea that you would invent, a force carrier that's like a photon. I just say, well, why didn't he just take that a step further and say, okay, it must not be a virtual thing, it's probably a real thing. So let's explain how that real thing got there. Anyway, this is all very frustrating. I'm really earning this. Because it really is irritating to have to deal with these fuckers. And the publication pages are so bad. They don't, of course, they're scientists, so they can't do anything in a logical manner. They have this obtuse 1943 software that publishes documents or something. I don't know. I'm supposed to put that on my computer? I don't think so. Bits and pieces. It's not like even like the software isn't one thing. It's a bunch of modules, and you gotta have this one if you're that one, or you can't do this. I mean, it's just so stupid. And then they accept documents in Word. Word what? 48, 98, 78, 56, 432. Because they convert them into PDFs, and you're just saying, well, why don't you just accept PDFs? But they won't accept PDFs because they can't convert PDFs into PDFs. So pathetic. I mean, 15 years ago, I made a program that created a, rich text format document out of anything. Anything you put in there, it would make the document for you. It's not that hard to do. So if I could do it 15 years ago, why can't they do it now, where they can create a standard document that doesn't require magic? Because, short of magic, you're not going to have your document look like anything as they publish it, as they convert it. It won't do this. It won't put the images in the right place. It just fucks everything to hell. Which is, just makes it that much harder to get your point across if the document's all broken into a zillion pieces. They should just accept text, and then you say, this is where I want an image. This is where I want the image. This is where I want the image. I mean, even if they had the image in line in the document, so what? Okay, it doesn't wrap. Who cares if it word wraps? But you can't even do that. Bastard. Anyway, that's just part of the burden. So, and it is kind of funny. I mean, you have to pay to, you find out these journals that are something like the Oxford something or other, right? Oxford something or other. It's a Japanese journal. You're like, what the fuck? Oxford is in Japan now? And then there's some Arab guy who pays the fees at another site, and I'm like, well, not Arab, Muslim maybe. You're like, I don't like no fucking Muslim financing my science. I mean, that's obscene. I mean, that's an insult to my intelligence. It's just really irritating. So, there's always Canada. Canada seems reasonable. So I might try their journal. Well, anyway, this is just a hard, awful burden. And I hate this writing thing. It's technical writing's difficult. You just don't want to get too technical. You don't want to get too lazy. And this balance between those two. It's really difficult. So, anyway. So, I would appreciate people who just can't, you're reading along and you say, oh, what's this? He talked, the part where you get to, I don't understand or something. That's the part where I would like your input so I can maybe say it better so you understand. Okay. So I think I've done that. So I guess I don't know. I have to learn how to leave comments on other people's videos. I mean, I just find it kind of rude to do that, but I don't, personal messages don't work too well. I tried that one. But I have to, I just want, I want somebody who has a name to critique it, just because I want somebody to take it seriously, right? So, somebody I can mock later and just say, look at the mess they made out of that. They're supposed to be scientists. Some kind of Bill Nye kind of person. I mean, $2,000. I paid Bill Nye $3,000. So if it's a really big name, Yeah, I'll go $3,000. They can't use $3,000? I mean, if they could make $3,000 in one day, they only need to work 100 days out of the year, right? And they can make $300,000. I mean, fuck. You know, I'm just saying, it's not, I mean, okay, it's not a fortune, but even Michia Kuku, I'm sure would like to pick up $3,000. He seems to whore for some cash. I mean, how many YouTube ads is that, you know? Come on. I should be able to get somebody to play along. Anyway, so yeah, the Kakus, yeah, I might even pay them for. Degrassi Tyson guy, yeah, I might get $4,000. One day's work. Yeah. Anyway. So where was I? Oh yes, hospital guy. Oh shit. So where's this stupid video? Quantum eraser, there it is. Alright, so he just did this gratuitous little stupid Mendham remark. So he's doing this stupid fucking piece of shit experiment that's just a convoluted pile of crap. You know, where and right from the start, it starts off with this idea that, okay, somehow they're doing a two-slit experiment, and they put the light that comes through one slit or the other slit through some kind of dopey crystal, a magic crystal, that creates two photons, paired photons. How does it do that? Is this crystal electrified in some way? And it always sends them in the correct direction, so they'll hit the prism in exactly the right place, and they'll hit the lens in exactly the right place? I don't understand. I mean, I'm just saying, but they don't even know what a photon is if they think they can put one photon in and get two photons out. Unless this crystal has got an energy source of some kind, that ain't gonna fucking goddamn happen. Conservation rules and such. Can't do that. Can't do that. So they obviously can't be in phase. They're not two. They're two new photons. Oh, yeah. My tape is sagging. I do have to come up with some better. I have these stupid fisheye lenses, and I have like 3 of them, and their focal length is just wrong somehow for almost every camera. So I'm just trying to figure out some way I can fix that without having to resort to filing them down or something. But anyway, that's my burden. And then getting them to stick is a problem. You know, have this double stick tape, but the camera gets warm and the tape turns to mush. There's always something. So maybe I just go back to the, whatever, less than fisheye. Yeah, wide but not fish-eyed. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Where was I? Can't do that. Oh, there we are. Okay. So, and then the rest of this, who cares? I mean, this is all mumbo jumbo. So they come up with an interference pattern here, but no interference pattern here, blah 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 blah. Whatever? Who cares? This is convoluted bullshit. You got interference all over the goddamn place. If there's any pattern, it was annihilated. So anyway, so Hospital Day is going to say something stupid like, "What Mendham doesn't understand." And you're just like, oh, if I just even start the list of the shit you don't understand, fuckface. You don't understand that you can't measure a photon. You really don't. You really don't understand conceptually why you can't do that. It's because it's the smallest motherfucking cunt thing there is. It's the truth of it. It's really, really small. They speculate, a lot of physicists will tell you it has no mass. It's so fucking small. You know. 700 times smaller than a quark or something. Yeah, really, really, really fucking small. Fuckhead. And there's no way you can just like let it bang into you and you say, oh, a photon banged into me. That doesn't happen. There's no little bits of matter that can do something because a photon just drifted by and we didn't disturb it. It just flew by and I saw it fly by. Nothing can see a photon fly by. Dumbass. You can only register a photon as happening or existing if it enters an electron fucks around in there for a little bit, and then exits. Probably as a new photon, actually, but it doesn't really matter. In my opinion, they're new all the time. Everything's new. Nothing's the same for any instant of time at all. Because we're just an impression on the bits. We're just paint, little blobs of paint on the surface of the bits. We're not even really a bit. I mean, we're just polarization. That's what it's going to come down to in the end. That's what makes everything something. It ends up polarized, and the polarization is what really is getting collected in matter. Matter is just a collection of polarization, which is, interesting. It really is. So anyway, but see, that right over. Yeah, there's no way you're going to get that. So I did definitely have to. Well, the magnetism thing will explain some of that, but it's still not going to get you to really understand how weird it really is, in the sense that we're just a pattern in terms of like color. You could say the beads were all black, and then in some sense they can be turned white when they go through an electron. They can turn white when they do a certain thing, and we're just patterns of that white stuff on BBs that are doing their own thing, and it's just a collection of the ones that have the white on them. And it's not even the ones. They exchange the polarization, just like they exchange direction. So they're always changing. Well, anyway, it's no point in getting into that. But it is just kind of a weird thought. We're kind of just, I hate to say it, we're just a vibration, so to speak. We're just an orientation in the field. Anyway. I shouldn't even bother with that stuff, because you really have to get the preliminary stuff before you can get there. So I'm way ahead of the conversation. Keep it simple, stupid. Alright, so anyway, so where was I? So anyway, yeah, so this is dead right at the beginning here, because whatever this is, it's totally useless. And if there was any two-slit diffraction shit here, who cares? So anyway, let's get to the holiday point, which I just find just so irritating.
What? Circle line R, so you can see this. It's going to generate a photon. The point is, as Emendum has trouble understanding,
you fucker.
The whole point is that we don't know which one it went through.
Well, you don't. So you can say, we don't know. Well, that's your problem. You can deduce it. But anyway, I've already pointed out how this is a ludicrous conversation about what slit it went through, when we know single slit diffraction exists, and the only difference, same exact pattern, only difference is that the light in the center is 8 times brighter. So yeah, it washes out percentage-wise the pattern. The pattern's weaker in its intensity. It's exactly the same pattern, same diffraction pattern, same interference pattern, excuse me. And we don't have to worry about what slit it went through. So you want to tell me that the real confusion in the single slit experiment is, what slit did the photon go through? Did it go through the single slit, or did it go through the single slit? I mean, did it go through that slit, or did it go through that slit? Mystery, mystery. No fucking mystery at all. So I'm just saying, once they contrived a bullshit explanation for the single slit experiment, don't we know this game is already over? That there's no real doubt. You don't need the 2 slits, because in the single slit experiment, you don't need the 2 slits. You get that? Single slit doesn't have 2 slits in it. Get it? And it's just so obvious. Like I said, the single slit, what's in the middle? Nothing. Double slit, what's in the middle? A barricade with surfaces on both sides. So obviously, yes, the single slit, more light's going to go straight through the middle. Double slit, less light goes straight through the middle. Duh. So, I mean, don't tell me what I don't understand, fuckface. Explain the single slit experiment in this context. Explain how all this crap is necessary. Why don't you just do the single slit experiment and play the same bullshit game? Alright? It's the same pattern, so why don't you just play the same game? Fucking stupid. So anyway. Yeah, but you know, Piro's mentioned this magical crystal stuff before. They just say, the magical crystal. You know, the magical crystal that can detect a photon without interfering with it. And what would be the science to that? Exactly how does that take place? I mean, there's absolutely no evidence that you can do anything but a full reaction with an electron. There's no evidence that a photon can just skirt by an electron, okay, and cause the electron some sort of damage. And because it's quantum mechanics, idiots. Do you understand? Quantum mechanics. It sort of means there's a discrete amount of energy that has to be used. You can't use a little bit of it or anything like that. You have to use a quantum of energy. And that's what a photon has, is a quantum of energy. It can't in any way sort of interact. It has to either become part of an electron or not. But it can't do anything in fucking between. Quantum. I mean, god damn. I mean, the word has been ruined by these fucking idiots. These fucking physicists. Oh, jeez, I just get so irritated. This is so frustrating. But really, can you draw me a picture of what this photon does that allows it to subtly interact where it's not disturbed in its trajectory, and yet some kind of matter, some sort of elementary particle of some kind, some sort of atomic particle, some sort of atomic mechanism can actually say, I saw a photon. I saw it. It rubbed me. Can you show me how that's thermodynamically, how that's that is consistent with Richard Feynman's quantum electrodynamics, which was photon goes into electron, not photon goes by electron. Photon goes in, weaker photon goes out, electron moves. That's the thermodynamics involved. You can't subtly interact with a photon. Can't do it. It's all or it's goddamn fucking nothing. I mean, this should be one of those rules. Lenz's law. This should be a law. This should be a rule. There's no subtle interaction with quanta. No. Can't do it. You take all their energy or you take none of their energy. Period. Nothing else. And I mean by energy, their discreteness. Like I said, an electron can absorb a string of photons. You know, obviously it's a string because they're discrete bits, but you fuckers are too stupid to figure that out. But there's a certain energy packet that goes in, and you can change the frequency, which is changing the number of packets in the energy packet, so you can let fewer photons out. Quanta. Again, see, they're not recognizing photons as a quanta, as a particle separated by a frequency, just blows up rationality when it comes to physics, because that's the quanta. Damn it. You know, so when they say photon, they're really saying two quanta. You gotta understand that, at a minimum. But most, like I say, most photons are a string of quanta at a frequency produced by an electron. And each electron, see, this is another thing. I don't know whether to put in the paper. I did, but you know, I'm like, maybe I'll put in italics. This is just going to confuse people. But I mean, each electron, like say something, a light's burning. There's a whole bunch of electrons spewing these photons, and each electron is just spewing, you know, a string, their own string, and their string is one polarization. But each electron is configured a little bit differently in most matter. So the strings are coming in all kinds of polarizations, but they're little strings of photons. I mean, that's what light is. Light isn't one beam of light. It's a bunch of little beams of light. It's a bunch of rays produced by individual electrons. And it can be of one polarization if all the electrons are lined up, and it can be, yeah, well, I gotta fix this. I'll glue it or something. Paint it on. Paint works good as glue sometimes. Just as good. Yeah, I know I got a bunch of sticky crap all over the lines. I'll clean that up too. Shit. Well, anyway, so where was I? Yeah, the polarization thing. And so this is a really interesting part of it, right? Because it's not intuitive. You don't think of it that way, but it really is that way. Each little string of photons is actually polarized light. It's just that it's in a string of rays, a collection of rays that all have different polarizations. Anyway, so that's probably enough for now. It's like the white light being full of little rays of different colors, but each one of those rays is one color and one polarization. So anyway, see, that's the neat thing about magnetism. Magnetism is a polarization converter. That's what a magnet does. The gravity comes in non-polarized, of various polarizations, and it comes out just one. And it comes out one polarization out of the north and one polarization out of the south. And the matter just happens to be sensitive to one polarization and the other polarization. So they produce exactly what they can't see. And that really explains it all. Well, it's either what they can't see or what they can. I have to get that part straight. That's a left-right thing, you know what I mean? It's not terribly important to get it right, but it's sort of important that you get it right. But the point is they produce the very kind of polarization they're either highly sensitive to or they're completely invisible to. So it's a 2-to-1 relationship. So all the gravity ends up being exactly the same. It all ends up being the same effect gravitationally. It's just that to anything that's magnetic, quote unquote, capable of having magnetism induced in it, it will completely change the strength of gravity, magnify it many times, because most gravity just goes right through you. You're only, like, say you're getting like 2% of the gravity that goes through you affects you and creates acceleration. A magnet takes all of the non-polarized gravity and polarizes it in one polarization, so it's all polarized one way, and now it can have a much higher magnitude of effect. So I should do the math of how strong, if magnetism was gravity, I mean, if you could do that to like something like an Earth, and you gave it the same proportional strength as a magnet, what would be the absolute strength of, like, say, the Earth, if it was magnetic? In terms of, instead of gravity, it was magnetism. Because that'll tell you probably what the absolute strength of a black hole is. And that'll tell you what the absolute mass of a black hole can be. Yeah, so I'll have to do that someday. Math for another day, I think. I got so many things to do, so many projects. Overwhelming. I really just don't feel well. But that's just all part of the burden. It's another thing annoying about Holiday. I don't know, I guess he eats before he makes videos or something. He's just doing all this burping, belch. But I guess it's better than farting, so I guess we'll say win for that. But he called this more mind-blowing than the double slit. And you're just like, wow. Sorry. No. The single slit is more mind-blowing than the double slit. Yeah, that's the one you ought to focus on, fella. I mean, that's right in front of you. I mean, you don't need to do all this convoluted crap that anywhere in this silly experiment you could be doing something fucking the game, creating phase shifts, and that's all you need is a phase shift, right? I mean, that's what the interference pattern is basically an example of, is that you've changed the phase of the light in terms of some standard by which comparison. making comparisons. But it really doesn't have, technically it just has to do with angles, and the angles are changed. You know, I'm just saying that this just, no. I mean, how do you do that? How do you exactly do you contrive this experiment to mean anything? You've annihilated any pattern that was here, and now you're just creating a new one here. I mean, fuck. That's all I can say. I mean, even the idea of, these half-transparent mirrors, isn't that right on its face just asking for diffraction? I mean, isn't a half-transparent mirror just basically saying I put impurities in the mirror, right? The little magnetic, the parts that are doing the reflecting are impurities in the transparent glass, let's say. Can't they recognize that that's basically creating a ton of two-slit experiments all over the goddamn place inside the mirror? That you've just guaranteed a ton of refraction with all those little bits you just put in the mirror? I mean, isn't that exactly what this is supposed to illustrate? Is that light can't go through holes? Well, you're creating a bunch of tiny holes in the mirror. So every time you have one of these half-glazed mirrors, those half-glazed mirrors are basically a piece of glass with a bunch of reflective dots on it. And in between the reflective dots is going to be called a hole. You're going to get refraction. So that makes sense to you people? Gary says, I don't think so. Gary says. Anyway. So, I think I've done my job here on Earth. Moving on to the next bit of bullshittery and such. So I think I've made all the points I really need to make here. So yeah, hopefully finish this thing up by the weekend and get it ready for publication again. The inertia document didn't do too well its first try. So I have to try it somewhere else. It's just, and you got no response, so it's just, no thank you. Oh, okay, thanks. That tells me a lot. Fuckers. But I'll have all your names for later. Mock the fuck out of you then. Fucking bastards. Anyway, okay. So now it's enough of a video. So I thought there was something else I had to get to, but fuck it. So till the next time and such and so forth and whatnot. Oh yeah, Inventive Harvest guy. Maybe he can have a rational conversation. I thought he left a post on top of this video. Yeah, so maybe you could read my paper and explain where, well, it all goes wrong for you somewhere. Something like that. Or even Trick. Tricks. Author Day says, my friend Trick. This video, is a clip from a documentary that he posted a link to. And like 2 minutes into it, it throws this God Science. Produced by God Science. I mean, you should have posted a link to some other example of the experiment than a clip from a fucking propaganda video called God Science. But whatever. Whatever, silly person. There's nothing nice stuff to say. It's not a bad documentary. It has pretty pictures and music and la 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 la. Oh yeah, well it says God Science, but yeah, it's good science. That's what he said. It's good science. There's good science in there. There is. I have my doubts. Thank you very much. So anyway, till next time.